So right now it's recording. So the first thing that we're going to do is create a folder here, right? We're going to create a folder as we're deploying here. We're going to create a folder and we're going to call it Elastic Beanstalk. Okay? Maybe like this. Okay, it's going to be our folder Elastic Beanstalk, right? Okay. So the things that we're going to do here, we basically are going to create a simple file, right? So I'm going to write any here, and let's say instructions probably. And that's going to be an MD file, which is marked down, right? It's just a file that is basically ignored, right? And we're going to simply say, well, the first step that we're going to do is just create, well, basically we're going to create an application, okay? An application using the init, right? So that's going to create an application for us, right? Right. Then after that, we're going to go ahead and create an HTML file. And then simply we're going to, for that, we're going to, for that, first we have to create a folder. And the folder, we're going to call it e-deploy, right? E-deploy. Then inside the folder, we cd to that folder, right? And then we create an HTML file, and we simply, let's use the word echo, but simply we're gonna print hello from Elastic Beanstalk. Okay. Beanstalk. Okay. And that's gonna be sent to an index HTML file that we're going to create. Right? Now, this third step that we're going to create is going to be, it's going to deploy our app, right? Right? And how to deploy that? By using the command ed create, and then we're gonna call it eb app, right? Right. So that's gonna be the instructions for now. Then we're gonna use other other commands from the EB CLI, like see or check health of the app, right? And then we're going to use the command eb health, right? Then we're going to use the command status to check the status of the app, right? And then we're going to use the command eb status, right? And then we're going to another one. We are going to check the logs to see the progress of when the environment was, well, actually here, we are creating basically we are creating an environment. That's what we're doing, right? And we use the create, and we're gonna call the environment maybe EBM, right? We're gonna check this health of the environment. We're gonna check the status of the environment, and we're gonna check the logs while the environment was being created. Okay. So for that, we're going to use EB logs. Okay. We also going to open the environment from open the environment from both the console and the CLI. And for the CLI, we're going to use EB open, right? And then we're going to update the environment, right? And deploy it. And for that, we're going to use the command EB deploy, right? And finally, we're going to create a clone of the current environment. And we're going to use that EB clone, right? And of course, we have to give a name to the clone, right? It's going to be right. It's going to be a different environment, right? But it has to have a name. Okay. So far, so good.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to do all this, right? The most difficult part is going to be to create the code, which is very simple, but the other ones are much more simple than creating the code. Okay. It's just typing this, and then we will be able to see things in the CLI. All from the CLI. We're not going to do anything in the console, right? So right now, if I bring this, there's no environment, there's no application, there's nothing, right? There's nothing here. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do is create the EB folder. Okay. First, we have to, and I would put here, maybe this should be step number. First, we have to create a folder. Okay. So that should be before this, but that's okay. That's okay. So we're going to create a folder in this guy, right? In this guy. So let's create a folder and let's call it EB deploy. Okay. The folder is already there. Perfect. Right. Now what we have to do is navigate to this folder, right? Navigate to this folder and do this guy, right? Right. Right. That's the project folder. And then we're gonna, okay, this one we do EB init. And then we create a file. Right. And then we create all this. I have it organized because I want to share this file with you guys. I want to share everything with you, right? Perfect. So now that we're here, we're going to cd into this file, the folder, I'm sorry. So we're going to come to the CLI. In the CLI, I'm already inside the NCI deployment. It's right here, NCI deployment. Now I have to navigate to Elastic Beanstalk, right? So I'm going to navigate to Elastic Beanstalk, right? Remember that in the case of, you have two words, you have to use this guy. I'll do ls, and I have this instructions for the file and this eb deploy. So I have to move to eb deploy. Okay. So right now I'm inside this folder here. I have to type eb init. Okay. So I'm going to create my application. So eb init, right? And now it's going to ask me a series of questions, right? The first question is I have to select my region. Okay, the region that I have here, the one that I want to be in, is US East 1. If you want to be US East 2, that's fine, guys. I'll be Ohio, right? Right here. So you can choose number 14. I'm going to choose number 1, right? Default is number 3, US West Oregon. Okay. Are you here, guys, with me?
Yes.
Okay. So now I go ahead and type 1, and then it asks me for the name of the application. According to the instructions here, my application is going to be called maybe here. I'm going to call it EV app. Okay. So EV app, that's going to be the name. By default, it chooses the folder where everything is, right? But I'm going to choose EV app, right? Elastic Beanstalk app. Right now, it's asking me for the platform that I'm going to use. Guys, remember that Elastic Beanstalk uses .NET, Docker, Go, Java, Node.js, PHP, Python, Ruby, Tomcat. I'm going to use PHP because this is an HTML file. Okay, so this one I'm going to choose number 8. Right now, it's asking me for what platform branch. I'm going to choose the number 1. Okay, PHP 8.0, the latest one, running a 64-bit Amazon Linux 2. 1. It's asking me now if I want to SSH to my instances. For now, I'm going to say no. This is not the purpose of this guy. And right now, my application has been created, right? So if I go back to Elastic Beanstalk and I take a look, I click here on applications, I see that my application has been created. Okay. So my application doesn't have anything, so I have to create an environment now, right? I have to create an environment, and that's exactly what we're going to do, right? With the next instruction. But first, we need to create an HTML file, and then we create the environment. And the environment, when it's created, is going to zip this file that we're going to create, and it's going to upload it to Elastic Beanstalk, and it's going to deploy for me. Okay, so inside this folder here, and by the way, another folder .Elastic Beanstalk was created, and this configure that YAML file was created as well by default, where we have the application name, we have the default platform, we have the region, and we have the workspace, which is an application. Okay, so this is in the config.yaml file that is inside this folder that is created when you initialize the Elastic Beanstalk project, right? So inside this folder, I'm going to create an HTML file, and I'm going to call it index.html, right? This is what is going to be displayed in the browser, right? So I'm going to type HTML, right? And I'm going to have something very simple, right? I'm going to say body, right? Body. And in the body, I want to say H1. I want to say hello. Hello from Elastic Beanstalk, which is what we have here in the instructions here. hello from Elastic Beanstalk, right? Right? That's it. Simple. You see, this is what we want to display in the. Let me say this. This is what we want to display in the browser. Any problems here, guys? Any problems? You can paste this on Slack.
Professor, you did. No, sorry. I thought you didn't
Hmm?
close the H1. No, I can see it. No worries.
Yeah. Okay. So I can have here maybe in before the body, I can have the head tag, and in the head tag, I can have a title, right? The title is going to be the title of the page. Is what you're going to see here, most likely. See here, it says summer 2021 Elastic Beanstalk application. So we're going to say here, maybe restart. Maybe restart. Start programming. Okay. Right. Okay. So we want to have that, and maybe here inside the head, we want to have also style, and we want to give some colors to this H1. So we can say H1, which is a selector to identify this portion here and change the color to blue, right? So that will identify this. We selected here, and this text is going to be blue according to this, right? Okay. So simple. Okay, nothing complicated. Gonna paste it again. It's there on Slack, guys. You can see the second part there. Now that we have this and we are in EB deployed, we see ls, we can see the index.html file there. What we have to do is just follow the instructions. Now we're going to create an environment. And this is what we have to type, eb create eb-env. And that will begin to create the environment for me. So we say eb create, and then we say eb-env, right? According to the instructions here, eb-env. So now I'm going to hit enter, and then it will zip the file and start creating the resources for me in the background. So I'd say create eb. It goes ahead and creates an application version archive, right? And it begins to create environment is starting using Elastic Beanstalk, Amazon S3, storage bucket. So it's going to create a bucket named Elastic Beanstalk US is one and the name of the account, right? So right now, if we go back to this, we see that this application has an environment EVM that is pending, right? So if we click here, we'll be able to see that the environment is in the creation process here. You see how it's creating things. And this, what we see here, is basically what we see in the CLI right here as well. So we can follow up here from the CLI and from the console if we want to, right? Now, if you want to see what is being created, we can come here and see that an S3 bucket has been created. Take a look here. This is for another thing. The S3 bucket is here, May 20, right? And this is one created for CloudFormation. Let me delete this one because this one is not doing anything here. right? Remember what I said, when you destroy, when you delete the stack, um, sometimes it doesn't delete the bucket, right? Right? So now we have the last Beanstalk bucket here, which has the application. This one here, this one, it was one that I created before. I'm gonna delete this guy here. I don't need it. Okay. Okay. So back to the bucket. We have resources, Elastic Beanstalk, everything here, right? And environments, all these folders here, the version. And also, if we take a look at the environment, it created a security group. I gave it its name. It is created right now, created an instance, an S3, EC2 instance. So we can come here to EC2 and we see there's a one running instance right here with the name EVEnv. And that is the one that contains the deployment, right? It's deploying this on an EC2 instance. So right now, it's still almost created. So successfully launched environment, and environment health has transitioned from pending to okay. Initialization completed 13 seconds ago and took 2 minutes. So we come back to the CLI and we see that here it says successfully launched environment ENV. And here it's about to show health okay. And you're going to be provided with a URL that you can click on, and you will be able to see the text that we have in the HTML file. Okay, so now if we want, we can say EB open, right? And that should open a folder, the browser for us, and we see hello from Elastic Beanstalk. Okay, there's one way. The other way is when we provide it with the link here, we're going to be able to click on the link and see exactly the same as we have here. So remember the title tag, it's right here, restart program. Right? That's the title tag, right? Well, we're about to see that. Let me refresh this, probably shows now. Okay, it's right there. So the other way is to click on this and then it's showing me restart program like this. So two different ways: from the console, clicking on the link, or using the command eb open, and that will open the browser for me with the text that we have here. Okay. Any success, guys? Success with you? Yes, no, maybe?
I fell behind. I wasn't following along, so no.
How about the other students? Brian, how about you? Roger?
Just watching and try to understand so I can do it later.
Yeah.
What do you have in the .elastic beanstalk? I'm kind of confused. Like you're deploying it in your CLI, but you're also writing stuff in the VS Code.
Say that again.
So you're executing commands in your CLI, but you're writing this stuff in the VS Code, right?
Basically, this is getting what the first thing that it did was to zip the file that I created. It's right here, creating application version, uploading EB app, zip. Yeah. The zip, it's the HTML file is there, right? And he uploads it to S3, and then Elastic Beanstalk will take it from there, right? And that's how it begins to create the things in the background. It creates a security group because this is an application. that contains an EC2 instance, and it contains auto scaling, right? And it contains a CloudWatch alarm, right? And things like that, right? And also an elastic load balancer, as you can see here. So it creates an entire environment for you with everything that it needs, right? For the instance to be deployed and be highly available, right?
Okay.
Auto scaling, elastic Beanstalk. That's the elastic load balancer. That's the good thing about platform as a service. In the case of elastic Beanstalk, you upload the code and it will create all the resources that are needed to deploy that code, right?
Can you go back to VS Code?
Yes.
What do you have in your Elastic Beanstalk? I have that already.
No, I didn't put anything here. What we have here is just something that is created when you initialize it. When you are inside this guy, you have to run EB init, right? And once you do EB init, you give it a name to the application, and that will create an application for you. Then inside the application, you have to create an environment, and that's what we're doing here, right? Once you create an environment, that's going to deploy all the resources for you, right? All the EC2 instances, the elastic load balancer, all the scaling, alarm, security group, all that, with the code that you uploaded. Right? And if you take a look at the console, you will see that here there's an instance that was created for me. If you take a look at the elastic load balancing section, you will see there's an elastic load balancer. It's right there, right? If you take a look at the auto scaling group, there's an auto scaling group created there, right? With one instance only, right? If launch configuration, it creates one launch configuration as well, because that is what the auto scaling group uses to deploy instances, right? It's right here. It says EB. EB is the elastic Beanstalk, right? What else? It creates.
I was just, so the instructions, even though you're explaining what it does, that you use that code inside of it. Sorry, I was just like, I fell behind when I went to use the restroom.
Okay,
and I missed the part where you executed it.
Right. This is just instructions, is an MD file. This is not even considered. This is ignored completely, right? What is zipped is this file, right? Because you already initialized this. All of this guy here, dot elastic Beanstalk, config YAML, that git ignore, all of this is created when you initialize it. When you cd into this folder and say EB init.
Oh, I see.
Okay?
So you don't manually create that stuff.
No, it's created automatically.
Okay.
Okay. And then inside this folder, you create this file. Not inside the elastic Beanstalk, inside the EB deploy folder.
Yeah.
Right. And once you do that, EB create, and then the name of the environment right here. That's it. It zips it and it deploys it.
So I have to run that for my Windows CMD?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But you have to type EB for your Windows CMD, recognizes that, and you're using the EB CLI, right? So now our environment is created, right? It's created here, right? So let's take a look at the different commands that we have in these structures. Let's see here. What's the next command? We want to see the health of your environment. So we type EB health, right? And that will show us the health of your environment. So it says here that the instance is okay. There's no warning. There's no degraded service. There's nothing environment. There's no severe, info, pending, no. Total, there's one. It's running PHP platform or branch 8.0, right? And the EC2 is fine. Instance ID is fine here. Fine, T2.micro, that's the instance type. Availability zone is 1A. Is deployed, version 8 minutes ago. Okay, So everything is fine. And this is refreshed every certain time, right? We have more information here. Is 11:48 a.m. This is today, May 5th, 2021, and then May 5th. This is 20th of May, sorry, May 20th. And this is the name of the environment, okay? So this is, we can see with the EB health command. Something that we can see as well here. If we click in the console, we'll be able to see health, right? But it's a little more graphic with the CLI, right? It's a little more graphic, okay? What else can we do with the CLI? Well, let us follow the instructions. We can see the status of the environment, okay? So we can type EB status, and it's gonna tell us what the status is, right? Well, application name is the region, this is the region, deploy version, environment ID, platform, and is the tiers web server standard. The CNAME, this is the URL that we provided, updated, it's ready, and it's green, which means this is good, right? If it's red, wear it. If it is green, be happy, right? So that's the status, right? What else can we see? Well, we can see the logs, right? So we can see the logs here. And it's going to show us a lot of logs, right? We're just waiting for the logs to be available, and you see here things that happen while the environment was being deployed or created, right? Things are happening in the background, okay? Right? You see? It's a lot of logs, right? For troubleshooting, just in case something happens, right? You can see the logs here as well if you want to. You can click here at the logs, and you can download the last 100 lines, right? Your full logs as well. You can download them, right? And see them here. I have a bundle here that was downloaded to my computer, right? And then I can see them there. Good. What else? What else can we do? Well, we did open it already, right? We opened it already. Let us do an update and let us deploy it, right? Deploy is to just deploy an update, right? So you don't have to create the environment again. You just deploy, and it can be done from here as well if you want to, right? You can upload the file here and deploy it. That will be a manual update. I don't want that. I want to do it from the CLI. CLI is so useful and efficient, you know? So what I'm going to do right now, this is what I have, right? Maybe I want to add some more text and deploy it, right? And of course, guys, this is a basic application, but the concept is the same for more complex applications, okay? So we're going to go ahead and add some more text here. So I'm going to add an H2. I'm going to say, this is awesome, right? Or maybe working from the CLI is awesome, right? I want to add another text and say H3. The higher the number, the smaller the font. Don't forget that, okay? For H, for headings, H, the higher the number, the bigger the number, the smaller the font, okay? What do you think? Okay, what do you think? Right? Now I want to put different colors here, and I want to use an inline styling. So I want to say inline. Maybe I want to use an ID. I want to identify this, and the ID of this one is going to be heading 2, right? And for this one, I'm going to use a class. And there are two different ways to identify tags. One is, or three different ways. One is using a selector, one using an ID, or one using a class. And at the end of the day, it's the same thing, but ID has a precedent over class. Just in case they're together, the class is going to go after the ID. ID are, more important, or first identified, and then the class, right? Just in case you have an ID and a class in the same tag. In this case, we have it in different tags, not a problem. But if they're in the same tag, ID is going to have a precedence. Okay. Right now, the way to identify an ID is by using a hashtag. So we say heading 2, right? That's the name of the ID, right? Right here, that's the name of the ID. And then I do this, right? And then the second text is going to have a color, let's say green, right? Perfect. Okay. And I want to identify the class as well, but the class is a little different. It's not hashtag, it's a dot. So we say heading 3. Okay. So you can use any way you want, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the same thing. And this one we're going to say red, right? So basically, if we deploy this locally, it's going to be like this, right? This is what we're going to see in Elastic Beanstalk. This is local. Right now, it's local, right? It's in my computer. So you can see here, users, desktop, this is my local thing, right? So maybe I want to put this in a container. So I can say div, and I can say ID container, right? Close this guy, and I want to put these guys inside the container. So I can center this, right? I can center this, right? And put it here in the middle of the screen, right? Not here. So I'm going to have a container that contains the 3 of them, right? It's just an ID, it's just the name. It could have been anything, right? I just put container, right? And then here, I want to say container is an ID, right? I want to say container. And I want to say text align center. Okay. Text align center. And I'm going to paste this in Slack so you guys can be updated, right? All right. I'll put it there. And then if I refresh the page, I can see that this is center, as you can see, right? Right. So I was able to center it. Maybe I can put it here in the middle of the screen instead of here. So I can say probably margin top, right? Margin top, I can say 60 pixels, okay? And then if I refresh this, it's gonna be a little down. So I'm gonna say here probably 200, right? And it's gonna be here in the middle of the screen. Okay, perfect. So right now, I just added margin top in the container section, right? And we're able to have our beautiful text here, local, right? Local here.
We have a question
Mm-hmm.
before you continue. In the CLI, I use the EB init, and then
Mm-hmm.
I use EB-deploy
Nope.
to enter
No.
application
No.
name.
Deploy is to update. So the first that you have to do is EB create. EB create, and then the environment name.
Oh,
We're gonna use deploy now to update it because we already deployed this. This is our current environment, right? But we're making updates. This is our update right now. This is what we're seeing locally. So we're gonna be able to see it deploy with the last Beanstalk when we deploy, EB deploy it, right?
So you hit two to create new application.
Say that again.
So after you select a region, you do 2 to create new application.
Okay, can you share the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what you got there. Yeah. Select 2 and give it a name like EB app.
I did that
It's
before.
a-
Now it's saying 2.
It suggests 2 because EB deploy already exists, right?
So
So
that's
it's
why
giving you-
why didn't I go into this one?
I don't know.
To the previous one?
I don't know what happened before. I don't know. So give it a name to say EB dash app. Dash app. Okay, enter. It appears as using
This is where
PHP. Say yes.
this is where I was before. Okay.
Okay, say 1. Okay, say no. All right, so now go to Elastic Beanstalk and delete the other application that was created before. Take a look at that and see if there's another
there was-
application.
Okay. So there was one that was created before.
Probably, most likely. Click on applications. Yeah, you have EB deploy. That's why I suggest EB deploy too. So click on actions and delete the application. Type the name or paste the copy and paste it if you want to.
Oh, delete this one.
Yeah. Right.
So what
you
is
have
this
one.
then? What is this title right here then?
That's the folder, but by default, it takes the folder as the name of the application. So it suggests the folder name as the name of the application.
Okay.
But you just type the one you want, right? But it suggests that one.
Okay. That's what I was using before. So
Yeah.
that's why I was there, but I didn't know what to do with the PHP part. So that's why I was asking.
Yeah. We use PHP because that's the one that is compatible with HTML.
Okay.
So now what you have to do is create a file, and then the file is created.
I did it manually right here. This one, right?
Okay, perfect. Now what you have to do is EB create, and then the name of the environment. We use EB-EMV.
You talking about like this?
Yeah, correct.
Oops.
Right, and that will create the environment for you. So either it zips the file first, right?
Did something happen? Oh, okay.
No, it takes a while. And then you can go there to your console again, the EB console, Elastic Beanstalk console, and see, click on the app, and the name of the app, and refresh that, because there should be an environment that is being created. It's right there, pending. Click on the environment, and then you will see that it's a change of events there.
Is this where it makes this, like the cloud watch and all that stuff?
Yeah, it will show both are the same, different visuals. Here you have the CLI and there you have the console. But basically, they may not be synchronized. There may be some delay between one and the other, but it's basically one is the reflection of the other one. Right?
So this is more automated than doing CloudFormation, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's why I was confused. I stepped away for 5 minutes, and I was so far behind. It was like I was like, did you create all these files that fast? I was so confused.
No, that's
Because before it took us so long to do anything in this crap here.
Yeah.
Like all this.
Yeah.
So
The thing with CloudFormation is that you choose how you want to create the resources. In Elastic Beanstalk, you upload the code and it chooses automatically what instance to create, what elastic load balancer, what auto scaling group with what desired capacity, and minimum capacity, and maximum capacity. You don't do that with CloudFormation. CloudFormation, you choose what to do, what you want. It's what you want, you create it. right?
Yeah,
Elastic Beanstalk, you get less control
I see.
because
Yeah.
it's platform as a service. The other one is infrastructure as code. Right.
So if you wanted to edit this stuff, you'd have to go into the GUI, the console, and then
Correct. Then you
manually
have
edit
to,
it in there.
right, you can go to the configuration section of the
Yeah.
environment. So click on the environments. Well, we have to wait until it's created. You have a warning there.
Warning. What?
Okay. Why? It hasn't finished. We have to wait until it finishes. I don't know what the warning means. You should have a warning, but let's see what happens. So let me know when it's deployed. Okay.
Okay,
Let's see what
I'm gonna stop
happens.
sharing.
All right. So right now we want to update. We want to update this guy, but I want to change this to probably H1 and H1. Okay, make it a little bigger because I don't like the size that he has. Okay, right. So I changed. I just put everything H1 instead of H2, H3, and I have it bigger here. All right, perfect. So this is local. Right now, I'm going to a CLI, right? And then I'm going to say EB deploy. That's it, right? And it will redeploy that for me and show the changes. So I go ahead and deploy that. It's going to update my environment. As you can see, if I refresh this, I see that it's updating, right? So Elastic Beanstalk is updating your environment. Okay. It may not take long because it's a very short file. It's a small file. It's not something really complicated, right? You see, it just finished updating. So let me go ahead and open it, right? So we say eb open, and that will open the browser for me with the new version right here, right? So this is now Elastic Beanstalk. This is not my local computer like it was here. This is my local, as you can see here, my local file. This is already Elastic Beanstalk. And like I said yesterday, this is not secure, right? We need to buy a certificate from any certificate vendor, right? AWS has Amazon certificate manager service where you can request a certificate, right? Of course, you have to buy it. And then you can add it to this guy, right? And after this, we're going to be able to, after this video, we're going to have another one where we're going to bring Route 53 into the game. And we're going to change this ugly thing into a beautiful domain that you know I purchased, right? So this is how you deploy an application from in the Elastic Beanstalk from the CLI, right? So